Hi, I'm Jim Bush, creator of the Facebook group Following God Out of Christianity and Returning to the Teaching of the Torah. I'm going to take a few moments and talk a little bit about Jews, tattoos, and Facebook fools. It's got kind of a rhyme to it, doesn't it? I would like to say, first of all, that I am not a spokesman for Judaism. I'm not a Christian. I'm not an atheist. What am I then? I am basically a person who grew up in the church and who has been in Christianity for most of my life, and about 5 years ago made the decision to follow God out of Christianity and point my life in the direction of the Torah. That may seem rather strange to a lot of people on Facebook, but having said that, my purpose for being on Facebook and sharing posts as it relates to Judaism and my walk with Hashem coming out of Christianity often results in argumentation and a lot of people posting a lot of things on my wall that are upsetting not only to my family but friends and people who do not understand Judaism and even people who do not understand Christianity. So I'd like to clarify a few things in this short video and give a little bit of background as to why I decided to go out the other day and get a tattoo. After all, doesn't it say in the Torah that we should mark our bodies? There is one prohibition in the Torah, which we find in Leviticus chapter 19, verse 28. Here's what it says: "You shall not make gashes in your flesh for the dead, or incision any marks on yourself. I am the Lord." And there's one other reference in Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 1. "You are children of the Lord, your God. You shall neither cut yourselves nor make any baldness between your eyes for the dead." When I read that and I make a decision to go out and get a tattoo, of course right away people are going to say, "Well, aren't you following Torah? I thought that you wanted to be Jewish and follow the Torah." And my understanding as I walk in the available light that I have is that this instruction in the book of Leviticus is an instruction to the Levitical priesthood. It is easy just to tell people, well, hey, look, I'm not Jewish. So what difference does it make if I follow what it says in the Torah in regards to the Levitical priesthood? I'm not a Levitical priest. In the original content of this verse, the meat of the verse states that we are not to mark our bodies for alien gods, that our bodies belong to Hashem. We are made in the image of God. The warning is not to cut your bodies as did the ancient pagans, as they would put markings upon their bodies to worship their deities. When a person goes out and gets a tattoo, it represents a message that they want to share with their friends or people who happen to see their tattoo. Perhaps it's a way of waving a flag. What happens to me if I decided I want to convert to Judaism later on and I've got this tattoo on my arm? What are the rabbis going to say? How am I going to deal with that? And so there's this fear of future fear that perhaps I'm placing upon myself, wondering, well, am I going to have to go have it removed, and will that be painful and all this other stuff? When I was at the tattoo parlor this week, there was a sign up in the window that said, "Tattoos are a window to your soul." I thought about that, and I thought about what am I trying to open up to people. If someone were to open up my tattoo and look into my soul, if this tattoo is the window to my soul, what would they see inside my soul? For me personally, I wanted to have this Star of David. It's a bleeding Star of David because it represents the suffering the Jews went through during the Holocaust, something that the Jews survived, that they are alive today. The nation of Israel is alive and well today. My personal choice is the bleeding Star of David, the symbol of Jewish faith. But I'm not Jewish. Why a Jewish symbol? Because it's where my heart and soul and thinking is. My first thought was to get a tat that included the name of Auschwitz, along with the two names of the children that I am personally remembering because of their ages. Thomas, age 7, and his brother, Jan, age 10. Now I have grandchildren. I have a 7-year-old grandchild, so I understand the age that these children were at when they were taken to the gas chambers. The brothers managed to survive a little less than 2 months in Auschwitz. Surviving Auschwitz was not easy, and as the boys found out, death was around them constantly. The boys managed to hide wherever they could, but their luck eventually ran out, and on July 11th, 1944, Jan, Peter, 10, and Thomas, 7, were placed in a gas chamber along with 100 other Jews and gassed to death. Death took 15 minutes. Jan, Peter, and Thomas Pfeffer were taken from the chambers. They were dissolved, and they became part of the grounds of Auschwitz. The world would not accept these small Jewish boys. I would gladly have these two names tattooed on my upper arm to remember their lives and story. So the final tattoo ended up being just the bleeding star of David with Am Israel in the center, which means the nation. And then at the top, I placed Psalms 137. And then at the bottom, never again. I only had to post a pic of a tattoo of someone, and right away the accusations started posting on my wall as if I was ignorant of one verse in the Torah about tattoos. The word tattoo does not even appear in the Tanakh. It's the word, and I can't even pronounce it, it's K-E-T-O-V-E-T-K-A-A-K-A, and is connected to the first part of the verse dealing with rituals for the dead. So the word really meant branding. The prohibition in Leviticus 19:28 is against branding. Since branding is a more painful and traumatic process, the idea is not to inflict pain upon another human being. We are prohibited in the Torah from causing pain to another person. Tattooing is not very painful by comparison. Playing with a cat with claws is much more painful. It should be noted that the writings of Leviticus are laws for the Levitical priesthood. My final point about this verse is that we are not to acknowledge any other God by writing upon ourselves their names in remembrance or worship of. I am not here to condemn anybody for tattoos, and I'm not here to encourage anyone to go out and to get a tattoo. But if you have a tattoo, and if you are following God out of Christianity and returning the teaching of the Torah, if you have a desire to know what the Torah says, study it. By all means, study it. Find yourself a rabbi. Find a synagogue where you can go and study. Forget about your past. Forget about wandering around every day, wondering if you're following the Torah, if you're following all the laws of the Torah. If your heart is in tune with the teachings of the Torah, leave it up to Hashem to guide you and to direct you. And those of you who are in our Facebook group, Following God Out of Christianity and Returning the Teaching of the Torah, I hope that you will take some time to study with a rabbi, study with someone that you can trust that will help point you in the direction that Hashem is drawing you into, whether it be Judaism or being a Noahide or any other kind of hide. Be assured that Hashem loves you and that your walk with Him is something so precious and so wonderful that no one can take that joy from you. I would just like to say that if you are thinking about getting a tattoo, do a little research, do a little soul searching, a little prayer. There is tremendous freedom in our journey out of Christianity. A lot of us in our group perhaps get bogged down in this idea that, we've left Jesus, we've left the church, we left a lot of things that were very important to us, and we want to embrace Judaism, we want to embrace the teaching of the Torah, but we get so caught up in the Facebook post and what people are saying that, this is what you got to do, this is what you can't do, and it can become very confusing and very troubling. I would encourage you to prayerfully seek out the direction that you want to go in your life. You don't have to be a convert to Judaism to be accepted by God and to be granted a place in the world to come. On the other hand, I think it's a wonderful group to join yourself with the Jewish people, to pursue what Jews pursue every day, those who are faithfully following the Torah. So for us who are non-Jews, who are sort of stumbling our way out of Christianity and coming across Facebook posts and various groups, and there's a lot of arguments that take place on Facebook, and it gets kind of ugly sometimes. This past week I've had to go onto my wall and do a little flushing, do a little button pushing and blocking a few people that were downright rude. And This past week, somebody messaged me and asked me, are you a Jew? And I thought, well, what the hell? What gives the person the right to come onto my wall and to ask me if I'm a Jew or not? I mean, is it really anybody's business if I want to convert to Judaism, if I want to embrace the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and study the Torah? Is it really anybody's business? And I have to be careful because I become short sometimes with people, and I want to apologize if I've offended anyone in our group and have been rude. That's not my intent. My intent is to stay focused on the Torah and to walk in the available light that I have. Rush, the rock band Rush, sings a wonderful song called The Available Light. And part of the lyrics in that song states that I want to look at life in the available light. I mean, you can't walk in something you don't know about. And many of us who are entering into the teaching of the Torah for the first time are really finding it fascinating and wonderful and refreshing, but we are not quite to the level of Orthodox Judaism. And that's all right. I think God is looking upon us and saying, look, you are recognizing the fact His Torah has been given and is very important, very dear to us. And it's a wonderful thing to observe Shabbat. And I get a lot of flack from people that say, well, you're not keeping Shabbat right. Well, I don't know how to keep Shabbat right. I'm not a Jew. I'm keeping Shabbat to the best of my ability. I'm walking in the available light that I have at this particular point in time in my life. And I would say that is true with the other aspects of Judaism. And whether or not you should not get a tattoo or get a tattoo, or whether somebody thinks that you are remembering the dead, I'm not remembering the dead. I'm remembering the living nation of Israel that will never fade, will never go away. And this will be a mark on my body to remind me personally every time that I take a shower, every time I look in the mirror, is that I got this tattoo in remembrance of the nation of Israel, to remember those who died and suffered in the name of following the one true God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And I identify with that. And that's basically why I got the tattoo. And then to remember the Psalms 137. And if you haven't had a chance to read that lately, look it up and read it. And it would cause you to weep when you think of that in light of the Holocaust and upon the times when Israel was in captivity and how God brought them out of captivity. Just like God has brought us out of Christianity and into the light of His Torah. We're not quite there yet in our understanding of everything, but our heart is pointed in that direction. Our feet are in the direction of the Torah. O Jerusalem, my love for you is my religion. Your happiness, my only creed. I hope this helps you to clarify some things. I'm Jim Bush, and I'm following God out of Christianity and returning to the teaching of the Torah.